Hello, folks. Good to see you. Welcome, people. I'd love it if you could say put in the chat your first name and where you're from. Let me just plug this in. Good. Welcome, folks. Very excited about our inner mentor process today. Hello, hello. And if you could just put your name in the comments if you like, and where you're from, your first name. We will be doing our first, our weekly inner mentor process. Great to see folks coming in. I am in New York and it's really, really beautiful here. Springtime, gorgeous, really nice. Reno, Nevada. Jessica, hi. Welcome, folks. Do you hear that plane? I don't know if people could hear that. Let me know if you hear that plane. I live right near the airport, so it's really loud. And we will be starting shortly. Hi, Melissa. Welcome. Oh, thank you, Jessica. I'm glad you didn't hear anything. Yeah, the planes fly right above us all the time. I had such fun taking a walk with our Labradoodle and just thinking about the way that I was going to do this inner mentor process today. So very excited about what we'll be doing. And we'll start in a minute or two. Meanwhile, if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask. How many people have done the inner mentor process before? Do a thumbs up or a heart or something like that. Okay, how many people haven't ever done the inner mentor process? I'd like you to put a thumbs up or heart or something like that. Well, okay, so we can't really get much data out of that, but that's fine. That's fine. We will start in a moment. This is a process that I do pretty much every single day, and it guides me in wonderful, wonderful ways. People talk about the inner child. Of course, inner child work is so important, but the discovery of an inner parent that actually gets us and adores us and kind of can point the way to the good and to where we need to be going, that's really an amazing thing. And that's what you get in this process. Welcome, folks. Welcome. Okay. I think we're going to get started now. Okay, so this is going to be a weekly session. Actually, we're going to move to 4 o'clock Eastern time starting next week instead of 3 o'clock. So, thank you for the nice words. We'll be moving to 4 o'clock starting next week. My hope is that this is going to be an oasis for you, that it's going to be a chance to take 20 minutes, just 20 minutes in the middle of the day, in the middle of the week, to find your grounding, to find your heart, to find your inspiration. Just taking a break from everywhere and going to somewhere beautiful inside and actually getting wisdom, drinking wisdom, and then going back into your week and holding that wisdom and using it during the week. So it's like kind of like the facets of a gem. Every week you're going to get a different message from your inner mentor. Maybe you'll get the same message because it bears repeating, or maybe it'll always be kind of slightly different. And these messages they're our medicine. They're what we need to hear. So I just want to share a little story about kind of how I came up with this process, where this process came from. I had a very, very dear friend. His name was Michael. And Michael was, one of the closest friends I've ever had in my life and meant so much to me. I talk about him in my podcast a good amount. So Michael had AIDS. And he discovered that full-blown AIDS diagnosis with the diagnosis of lymphoma, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And this was an incredibly scary and hard thing for him. And he described, in a performance that he created, he described how terribly hard it was. Like, he couldn't catch his breath. The fear was so great. He couldn't kind of come into himself. He could not find a place of peace inside himself. And nothing worked. So he was talking one day to his older relative, an aunt who lived in Brooklyn, and just talking about this and talking about kind of how scared he was and how he was just trying to find a way to deal with it. And this old aunt said, "So why don't you try invoking Saint Michael? Your name, Saint." And he said, "I don't really invoke saints. That is not what I do. That is not what I've ever done. But I'm an artist. So I'm going to do a painting of a being powerful enough and wise enough and guided enough that this being could look at my diagnosis, could look at that diagnosis and not be shaken from the good, not be shaken from his wisdom and his power, because that is certainly not me. I'm deeply shaken. But I'm going to invent and create a being so wise and so grounded that they are not shaken in the way that I am." And he did this painting of Saint Michael. And the words underneath it were, "Saint Michael, protect me from the devil that I call fear." Those were his words. And he did this big painting. And the fear lifted. Nothing else worked to have that fear lift. But this did. And this was an inspiration to me. What if, in the presence of our challenges and our difficult times and our struggles and our places where we experience what they call the byproducts of disintegration, irritation, junk food, junk relationships, all the things that we do, repression, all the different things that we do that are our kind of processes of our byproducts of disintegration. What if we create the being who we are meant to be? What if we get a vision of what if you get a vision of the self that you were born to be, meant to be, that you feel the calling of this self, this greater you? What if you, for a moment, envisioned that self, became that self, and called out guidance from that place? And that's the process that we're going to do together right now. So what I'd like you to do is get comfortable. Take a breath in. Exhale and let it go. Acknowledge yourself for being here, for taking time in the middle of the day. I feel like that's wisdom. Like if you could take time in the middle of the day for a spiritual oasis, for a spiritual practice, that's wisdom. So acknowledge yourself for that. And now, I would like you to think about the you that you're being called to become. Like the you that's like kind of just around the corner. You're not that you yet, but you want to be. You feel like that you is in you. And you're excited about the possibility of becoming and evolving into that you. Just think at that moment, what is the you that you are excited about becoming? Take a minute to think about that and picture that. Good, good. So you don't have to have it perfectly, but you just want to get a glimpse. So now I want you to imagine that you and picture that you. This is the you that you are meant to be. This is the you that lives in its power, the power of its heart, the power of its truth, the power of its goodness, the power of its creativity, the power of its compassion and care, the power of its ambition, the power of its aliveness. That's like the you you're meant to be. So just picture. You do not have to earn, but just picture that you. What does this person's face look like? What does this person's eyes show? What's this person wearing? So just get a picture. Don't worry, don't stress. Like, let it be light. Like, even if you get tiny glimpses, that is totally good enough. So picture this you that you're kind of excited to become. Good, good. Now what I'd like you to do next is remember a time that you tasted that you kind of lived even a little bit of that you. Like something happened or you did something where you said, oh, like I feel more deeply integrated. I feel more deeply peaceful. What I did was brave. What I did was true. What I did, I could feel that delicious, delicious mixture of peace and excitement and relief and possibility. Like just any time, even if it's little, even if it's that you just tackled a small project that you were afraid of, or that you told someone that you loved them, or you booked an exciting and scary trip, anything. A time that you felt like, oh, okay, so it was a little bit challenging, but I lived that me. So just take a moment to remember that time, that you tasted that you. Good, 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 good. Little glimpses are just fine. This you is going to become, people talk about inner child a lot. This is going to be your inner parent, your inner mentor, your good parent, your sage, wise, gorgeous, fun, evolved self that calls you to your next steps. So now, I'd like you to do an imagination exercise where you just step into that you. You just become that you. Don't stress. Don't try too hard. You know that you because you've had tastes of that you. You hear echoes of that you calling out to you saying, come, come, you could be this. So just imagine, it's just imagination, that you get the body feeling of being that you. You get the heart feeling of being that you. Beautiful. So just let yourself like taste that. Let that like ripple around. You don't have to get it perfectly, but just sort of get like that. Like this is you as you, fully you. There's no reason you shouldn't have the luxury and the deliciousness of tasting the possible you and standing in that stream. So do that now. You are the possible you. You are the you that you're meant to be. And all you're doing now is tasting that you. This is one of the most delicious and empowering things you could do, is just tasting that you. And that's your inner mentor. And now, what I'd like you to do is, from this place where you are tasting the possible you, the meant to be you, and feeling the deliciousness and the groundedness and whatever it is that you feel in this place, there's also a feeling of being loved for being you. There's a feeling of your goodness and your worth when you do this. So from this place now, like you're inside that you, you're behind the eyes of that you, looking at the you of today right now. And what I want you to do is, if nobody's hearing you, say it out loud. If somebody's listening, say it silently or whisper it to yourself, or you might want to write it down. Call out guidance to the you of today, to help the you of today with messages that will help you move closer to this possible you. You are this loving parent watching your child struggling and trying, and because you get the big view from this place, look at this you of today and just feel in your heart, what's the guidance that feels right to say? Take a minute to do that, to speak it, to write it, to enjoy it. Take a minute to do that right now. Kind of let it just kind of pour out of you, let it find itself. The words might start slow, but then they'll kind of start pouring out of you a little bit more. So give yourself a minute to do that. This guidance from this delicious and very possible meant to be you. Good, good, good. So now I want you to come back to being yourself and just take that message. Feel what it feels like to be seen like that, to be guided like that. Take it into your heart. And just kind of open your arms, and you and your inner mentor get to hug. Imagine what that's like, hugging this meant to be you. It's very sweet. It's just like hugging someone you love, right? It's very down to earth, it's very grounded, but you feel that connection. So just give yourself that hug. And the more you build this love relationship, the more quickly you become that you, which is just really, really awesome. So, with this feeling of connection, I'd like you to now, anyone who wants to, and I hope you do, I think people feel timid about doing this, just write down what your message was in the comments. If you'd rather not do that, just do little hearts to show that you got a message. Love to hear what the messages are for people. People are kind of timid about doing that. My mentor Sandra is here. Sandra, hi. So glad you're here. Get started. You are capable. Someone sent a request to be in my live video. I'd rather you just leave a comment if you could. Just keep going. Stay healthy. I love that. Thank you for reading these. I love that just keep going message. That's like a very inner mentor message. You're doing it. Just keep going. That's such a kind of deep and common message. But the beautiful thing is that you have access to this stream of self-soothing, hope-filled wisdom. And it's right there. It's really right there. And that's the beauty of this process. Anyone else want to share? Thanks for all the hearts. Thanks for those of you who did share. Okay, now here's the last part of what we're going to do, okay? What I want you to do is take this message, picture this message, and just all you really have to do is love it. Like, just love the message. Like, get a kick out of it, enjoy it, and even picture doing it this week. Just picture doing it this week. The more you drink from this pleasure, the more you will become this amazing you. That's a very wonderful formula, and it's really true. So now I'd like you to imagine this week coming up, and there you are, and you have like a minor challenge. Maybe it's going to come tonight. Maybe it's going to come this afternoon. You kind of like can anticipate it. Or maybe you just want to imagine some kind of minor challenge coming up. So picture that. Picture like this minor challenge. And in the presence of this challenge, you take the wisdom of that message and you practice it. You go to that place where you say no to the older patterns, those kind of like byproducts of disintegration. You say no to those, and you say yes to acting from this possible you. So just take a minute, picture that. Picture what that would be like, what would happen. Just imagine doing that. Fabulous, fabulous. And imagine your week if you live this beautiful, organic, homemade wisdom from this kind of foundry deep down inside of you, like a foundry of inspiration. Just imagine your week if you really go for this. Wonderful, wonderful. We just have a couple minutes left. If anybody has any feedback they want to give, I would love to hear it. I also want to say that twice a year, I start an intensive for a handpicked group of no more than 12 people. And it's a half-year process where we meet every week and do the rich, deep work of deeper dating and transforming our search for love. It's one of the most amazing projects that I've ever gotten to do in my professional life. And for those people who are interested in that, I have free 45-minute sessions where we explore this together. So if that might interest you, I very much encourage you to go to deeperdatingintensive.com and take a look at that. And if it calls to you, I'd love to get to speak to you about it. Thank you for sharing, and those beautiful flowers in the background. Yay, springtime. I'll tell you a secret. They're not real. They're very pretty, but they're not real. So that's like my secret. Oh, Ken, you're a gift. That's Nadia. Hi, Nadia. Thank you so much. Well, please tell your friends, because here is the fabulous thing. If you get a friend to do this with you, you could be inner mentor buddies for the week and check in on yourself and support each other in doing this message. And I could pretty much promise you, you will do it with more muscularity, inventiveness, heart, and capacity if you do that. And the research backs that up completely. So thank you all. Please let your friends know about this. This is going to be up on Instagram and on my social media, so you can feel free to share it with people. It is a joy to have you all here, and I'll see you next week at 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific. Thank you all, dear folks.